In the 70s, Japan mastered the art of stealth speed, cars that blended into traffic but left rivals in the dust. No noise, no flash, just hidden firepower. These are the 10 unknown Japanese sleeper cars of the 1970s. Let's jump in. Number 10. 1971 Toyota Corona Mark II 1900 SL. Starting with a car that many would mistake for nothing more than a sensible family runabout. The 1971 Toyota Corona Mark II 1900 SL. At first glance, it's easy to see why it blends into the background. The Mark II was designed to be a step up from the regular Corona, aimed at families who wanted just a bit more comfort without flashing their ambitions. But beneath its modest, clean-cut lines sat a surprisingly capable machine. The 1900 SL variant packed the sturdy 1.9-liter 8R inline-4 engine, delivering around 105 horsepower and 104 pound-feet of torque. Not huge numbers on paper, but in the early 70s, it was enough to make this family sedan feel lively, especially in city traffic. Acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour took just under 13 seconds. Not blistering, but quick enough to surprise unsuspecting drivers at the lights. More importantly, it delivered this performance with Toyota's trademark reliability. The SL trim added subtle but effective refinements, improved suspension tuning for better road manners, and a more comfortable, well-appointed interior. Long drives became genuinely enjoyable, as the Mark II cruised smoothly without fuss. Of course, it wasn't perfect. The car's weight and conservative gearing meant it never quite felt like a full-blooded sports machine. And its quiet looks, while great for stealth, made it easy to overlook next to flashier rivals. But that's exactly why it deserves its spot here. The Mark II 1900 SL thrived in plain sight, hiding its true potential behind an air of quiet confidence. Number 9. 1974 Nissan Bluebird 610 SSS. After the understated charm of the Mark II, the next sleeper takes things in a slightly sportier, but still surprisingly discreet direction. The 1974 Nissan Bluebird 610 SSS. On the surface, the Bluebird looked like any typical commuter car of its time. Conservative lines, modest proportions, and the kind of everyday styling that wouldn't raise an eyebrow in traffic. But Nissan had something clever in mind for the SSS trim. The Bluebird 610 marked a shift in Nissan's design language, aiming for international appeal while still keeping things simple. The SSS, short for Super Sports Sedan, quietly slipped performance touches into what most assumed was a practical family car. Under the hood sat the 1.6-liter L16 inline-4 engine, fitted with twin Hitachi SU carburetors, producing around 109 horsepower and 101 pound-feet of torque. With a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of approximately 11.5 seconds, it wasn't blistering, but it was quick enough to surprise unsuspecting rivals. Sporty air suspension tuning and tighter steering gave the SSS a nimble character, making twisty back roads genuinely enjoyable. What really worked in the SSS's favor was its balance. It managed to feel engaging without trying too hard, a quality that only a few cars of that era truly captured. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Some drivers found the handling a bit soft at the limit, and its styling, while clean, perhaps leaned too conservative to ever earn instant recognition. Still, that quiet nature is exactly why it earns its place here. The SSS didn't need to scream to be quick. It simply kept its strengths tucked just below the surface. Number 8. 1975 Mitsubishi Galant GTO 2000 GSR. Following the understated Bluebird SSS, we now step into something that looked like it might be all show, but in truth was hiding a lot more muscle than most gave it credit for. The 1975 Mitsubishi Galant GTO 2000 GSR. At first glance, the GTO wore styling cues borrowed straight from American muscle cars, with a long hood, fastback silhouette, and aggressive lines. It looked like it wanted to run with the big boys, but many dismissed it as just another sporty-looking coupe without much substance. They couldn't have been more wrong. Mitsubishi developed the Galant GTO to capture the growing enthusiasm for performance coupes, and the GSR trim was their boldest attempt yet. Under the hood sat a 2.0-liter Saturn inline-4 engine with twin Mikuni Solex carburetors, producing around 125 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque. This setup propelled the GSR from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 9.7 seconds. Quick for its time, especially considering its sub-1,000 kilogram, about 2,200 pound weight. The GSR also benefited from firmer suspension, front disc brakes, and a close-ratio 5-speed manual gearbox, giving it real composure when pushed hard through tight corners. But the GTO 2000 GSR wasn't flawless. Its performance was sharp, but the ride could feel harsh over rough surfaces, and despite its punchy character, it struggled to fully shake off the perception of being style over substance. Yet that underestimation worked in its favor. Most never suspected it had genuine bite to match its bark. And just when you think the list is settling into coupes and sedans, the next car takes us somewhere completely unexpected. A low-key Grand Tourer from Mazda with an engine unlike anything else on the road. Number 7. 1977 Isuzu 117 Coupe XC. Coming off the bold attitude of the Galant GTO, our next car takes a completely different path. More refined, almost artistic, yet quietly potent under the surface. Meet the 1977 Isuzu 117 Coupe XC. Unlike many of its Japanese contemporaries, the 117 Coupe wasn't born from the pursuit of raw performance alone. Designed by the legendary Giorgetto Giugiaro, it carried a sleek European flair, standing out with elegance rather than aggression. Isuzu positioned the 117 Coupe as a premium sports coupe, aiming for a balance of style, comfort, and surprising capability. The XC variant came late in the model's run and featured a 1.8-liter DOHC inline-4 with fuel injection, producing around 130 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. Thanks to this setup, the car managed a respectable 0 to 60 miles per hour time of about 9.5 seconds. Not blistering, but certainly enough to catch unsuspecting drivers off guard. What truly elevated the 117 XC was its composure, precise steering, well-tuned suspension, and an upscale interior with leather seats, wood trim, and sharp instrumentation that put it leagues ahead of typical 1970s Japanese cabins. Of course, there were trade-offs. The 117 Coupe XC carried extra weight due to its luxury touches, slightly dulling its edge compared to more focused sports coupes. And its premium price tag kept it rare on the streets, but that rarity only amplifies its sleeper appeal. Stick around. Next up is a car that took rugged practicality and quietly turned it into unexpected speed. Think the 70s had hidden heat? Wait till you see what Japan snuck into the streets in the 80s. So don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's next. Number 6. 1973 Mazda Luce Rotary Coupe. From the elegance of the Isuzu 117 Coupe, we move to something far more experimental, yet just as discreet. The 1973 Mazda Luce Rotary Coupe was Mazda's quiet rebellion against convention. While most automakers were fine-tuning pistons and valves, Mazda was fully committed to the rotary revolution. Designed by Bertone, the Luce Coupe carried itself with understated class, yet under the hood it was anything but ordinary. At its heart was the 12A rotary engine, a compact twin-rotor unit producing around 130 horsepower and 115 pound-feet of torque. While those numbers might seem modest on paper, the lightweight design and free-revving nature of the rotary allowed the Luce to sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 9.8 seconds. Perfectly respectable for its era and enough to surprise drivers expecting nothing more than a casual cruiser. The Luce delivered smooth, linear acceleration that made it feel eager at any speed, while its composed ride quality and supple suspension tuning made it genuinely comfortable over long distances. What truly set the Luce apart was this seamless blend of refined aesthetics and unexpected energy. It was a car that rewarded spirited driving without demanding attention. But of course, the rotary dream wasn't without compromise. The Luce struggled with thirsty fuel consumption, especially during the oil crisis, and early rotary reliability quirks kept owners on their toes. Still, for those willing to embrace its quirks, it offered a driving experience that felt futuristic and bold. But don't get too comfortable. Next, we're shifting gears to a car that disguised its muscle under the plainest of suits, and you're not going to want to miss it. Number 5. 1971 Prince Skyline GC10 2000 GT non-GTR. Sliding over from the quirky brilliance of the Mazda Luce Rotary Coupe, we land on a car that often lives in the shadow of its more famous sibling. The 1971 Prince Skyline GC10 2000 GT, not the fire-breathing GTR, but the understated 2000 GT variant, carried a legacy that quietly ran deep. Before the Skyline name became a global performance icon, it was Prince Motor Company's answer to European touring cars. Even after merging with Nissan, this car kept that spirit alive in its subtler form. Under the hood, the GC10 2000 GT packed the L20A 2.0-liter inline-six engine, producing about 115 horsepower and 116 pound-feet of torque. Thanks to its relatively lightweight and smooth power delivery, it could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 11 seconds. Not blistering, but quick enough to surprise in stoplight duels. The engine's linear response and silky refinement made it a joy to wind through the gears, while its balanced chassis delivered a composed ride that suited both everyday driving and the occasional backroad blast. Visually, it played it cool. Without the aggressive flares or racing stripes of the GTR, the 2000 GT kept things understated with clean lines, subtle chrome accents, and a family sedan silhouette that let it fly under the radar. Sure, it lacked the hardcore tuning and sharp handling of its GTR sibling, keeping it out of the purist's spotlight, but that's exactly what makes it so charming. A stealthy performer that leaves people guessing. Drop a comment and let me know. Legendary badge or sleeper appeal? And don't go anywhere, because the #1 car is a sleek machine from a brand you might not expect in this lineup. Number 4, 1976 Toyota Crown Coupe MS112. Moving on from the subtle sharpness of the Prince Skyline GC10 2000 GT, we arrive at something a bit more unexpected, the 1976 Toyota Crown Coupe MS112. Most people hear Crown and instantly think of plush sedans built for luxury, not performance. But this coupe version quietly flipped the script. Toyota, known for its conservative approach, decided to stretch its legs a little, wrapping executive-level comfort around a surprisingly capable powertrain. The result was something that flew under the radar. While the sedan Crown targeted high-end clientele, this coupe offered a glimpse into what happens when luxury meets a little more edge. Beneath that stately design sat the 4M 2.6-liter straight-six engine, producing around 140 horsepower and 156 pound-feet of torque. That power was channeled through a 4-speed automatic or optional manual, giving the Crown Coupe respectable pace for its size. 0 to 60 miles per hour came in roughly 10.5 seconds. Not blistering, but quick enough to catch people off guard, especially in such a dignified package. The smooth power delivery and ample torque at low RPMs made it feel effortlessly strong on open roads. What made it fascinating was how it blended full-size luxury with sleeper potential. Soft suspension and rich interiors kept the ride refined, but a confident throttle push revealed its hidden muscle. Of course, the weight of that luxury meant it wasn't as agile as some smaller contemporaries, and fuel economy was less than stellar. But charm like this isn't always about numbers. Stick around. Our next car is a quirky two-door from a brand that's been quietly building sleepers for decades. And if you're enjoying this cruise through Japan's under-the-radar legends, smash that subscribe button. The top picks are just around the corner, and they're going to catch you completely off guard. Stay tuned. Number 3, 1973 Nissan Cedric 2600 GL. After the refined luxury of the Toyota Crown Coupe MS112, let's shift gears to something even more under the radar. The 1973 Nissan Cedric 2600 GL. At first glance, it might seem like just another unremarkable mid-size sedan, blending quietly into the background with its conservative lines and formal design language. But beneath its understated exterior, the Cedric 2600 GL hid respectable performance credentials that made it far more than just a family commuter. Nissan at the time was focused on building reliable, comfortable cars, and the Cedric embodied this philosophy while still offering a subtle dash of excitement for those who cared to look closer. Under the hood, the Cedric 6000 GL packed the L26 2.6-liter inline-six engine, producing around 140 horsepower and 152 pound-feet of torque. Paired with either a smooth-shifting 3-speed automatic or an optional manual transmission, it could quietly hustle from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 11 seconds. Not groundbreaking, but genuinely respectable for a mid-sized executive sedan of its era. The engine's smooth power delivery and ample low-end torque made it a relaxed highway cruiser, yet surprisingly eager when pushed. Its handling, too, defied expectations. Despite its size and comfort-focused design, the Cedric offered a composed and confident driving experience, with steering that felt precise enough to inspire trust on winding roads. Step inside, and Cedric continued to impress. The cabin featured plush, generously padded seats, soft-touch materials, and a thoughtfully arranged dashboard that gave off a premium vibe, especially compared to many of its domestic rivals. It was a car built for comfort over flash, making long journeys effortless and pleasant. The attention to ride quality and interior refinement made it feel like a true executive car, even if it wasn't marketed as one. Of course, it wasn't without its drawbacks. The Cedric's substantial weight meant it felt sluggish when cornering enthusiastically, and its fuel economy, averaging around 15 miles per gallon, was far from efficient. But for those in the know, the Cedric 2600GL was a true sleeper, a quiet performer that delivered far more than its humble appearance suggested. But wait until you see the game changers Japan unleashed in the 90s. Make sure you subscribe so you're first in line for more under-the-radar classics coming your way. Number 2, 1977 Toyota Mark II Coupe. Moving away from the understated charm of the Nissan Cedric, we now look at a car that set the stage for one of Toyota's most beloved platforms, the 1977 Toyota Mark II Coupe GX61 Precursor MX-28. This car, though not widely known, had a lasting influence, laying the groundwork for future Mark II models that became staples of Toyota's lineup. The 1977 Coupe was a perfect mix of elegance and subtlety, combining a refined design with the performance chops of its era. Under the hood, the Cedric 26000GL packed the L26 2.6-liter inline-6 engine, producing 140 horsepower and 152 pound-feet of torque. Paired with a 3-speed automatic or manual transmission, it could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 11 seconds. Not blistering, but respectable for its time. While the car wasn't going to win any races, it had just enough torque and agility to offer a thrilling experience on the open road. Toyota, known for its reliability, delivered a surprisingly smooth ride with this model, making it a perfect option for those who didn't want to draw attention but still craved a bit of performance behind the wheel. However, this isn't to say it was perfect. The car's rear suspension system could sometimes leave much to be desired in terms of handling, and while it had plenty of power for its size, it wasn't exactly the fastest car in its class. Still, there's something about the understated appeal of this model that made it a standout, a true sleeper for those in the know. What do you think about this sleeper? Could the Mark II Coupe have been a bigger hit if it had more power? Drop a comment and let me know. Number 1, 1972 Mazda Capella Rotary GS RX2. After the understated yet powerful 1977 Toyota Mark II Coupe, we finally come to the last car on the list, the 1972 Mazda Capella Rotary GS RX2, a car that blends the innovation of the iconic rotary engine with a package that flew under the radar for many. Released at the height of the 1970s, the RX2 was Mazda's first major attempt to bring the rotary engine to a broader market, and it did so with style. While the RX2 might not have screamed performance at first glance, its compact yet sporty proportions hinted at the excitement waiting under the hood. The Capella Rotary GS featured Mazda's revolutionary 12A Wankel rotary engine, producing around 130 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. Impressive numbers for a car that weighed just over 2,200 pounds, about 1,000 kilograms. Thanks to the rotary's naturally high-revving character, it could spin freely past 7,000 RPM, delivering a smooth surge of power that felt much livelier than its horsepower rating suggested. The RX2 could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just under 9 seconds, a respectable feat that placed it alongside much pricier sports sedans of the era. Its handling was another highlight, with independent front suspension, rear live axle with leaf springs, and front disc brakes, fairly advanced for its class at the time. The RX2 offered sharp and responsive driving dynamics. Whether carving corners or cruising at highway speeds, it maintained a level of poise that caught many drivers by surprise. The lightweight construction amplified this agility, making the RX2 a genuine backroad hero. Inside, while the interior was fairly minimalistic, it had a purposeful, driver-focused layout. Clear instrumentation, a sporty 3-spoke steering wheel, and bucket seats kept you connected to the driving experience. Optional extras included a wood-trimmed dash and sporty touches that gave it a bit more character than its understated exterior would suggest. However, not everything about the RX2 was perfect. The rotary engine, while exhilarating, came with compromises. Fuel efficiency hovered around 15 to 18 miles per gallon, US. Not great, even by 1970 standards. Maintenance was also a point of caution, Rotary engines required careful upkeep, especially around apex seals, which were known to wear prematurely if not maintained properly. Additionally, the cabin, though functional, lacked some of the refinement and creature comforts found in its competitors. Still, these quirks only add to the RX-2's charm. Today, it's a sought-after collector's item among rotary enthusiasts, and back then, it was a true sleeper, a family sedan that could leave muscle cars blinking at stoplights. For Mazda, the RX-2 was a bold statement that helped cement their rotary legacy, paving the way for legends like the RX-3, RX-7, and beyond. Which of these sleepers caught you off guard? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious which one surprised you the most. And if you're loving this dive into Japan's forgotten powerhouses, smash that like button and subscribe. The next chapter is even crazier, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Catch you in the next one.